The AYA NEO Geek 1S is an update to the Geek model released earlier this year. With the 7840U CPU, we are bound to see some performance increases over the 6800U model, but by how much? By the way, did you know that DROIX sell the AYA NEO Geek 1S as well as many more Windows handhelds, retro gaming handhelds, mini PCs, accessories and more? Visit droix.co.uk or droix.net for international shipping, and keep watching for a discount code. First, we have some user guides which are in English and Chinese. There is also an envelope which has a small tool for opening the device if you need to upgrade the SSD, for example. Next, we have the AYA NEO Geek 1S itself, which we will show in more detail shortly. There is a 100 watts charger with US plug. And in the box there are UK and European plug adapters also included. Two USB Type-C to Type-A adapters are included, so you can connect wireless peripherals such as a mouse and keyboard. There are also replacement side panels which you use after opening the device. And in the last box is a USB Type-C charge cable. The AYA NEO Geek 1S measures around 10.4 by 4.1 by 0.87 inches and weighs 672 grams. It's available in three colours: Fantasy Black, Pure White and Nebula Purple. The display is a 7-inch IPS touchscreen with a slim bezel. There are two models available with a choice of 800p or 1200p resolution. In this review we are using the 800p model. On the front we have the All Effect sensor analog sticks and gaming buttons. There's two additional buttons in the bottom right. These are shortcuts for accessing the AYA Space app and overlay. Along the top are the shoulder and Hall Effect trigger buttons. There are also two small macro buttons which can be configured in the AYA Space software. Next we have the power button which has a built-in fingerprint sensor, and beside that is the volume rocker. There are two USB Type-C ports. One is USB 4 for data and charging, and the other USB 3.2 just for data. On the bottom we have a second USB 4 Type-C port, micro SD card reader and a 3.5mm headphone port. The AYA NEO Geek 1S comes with the latest AMD Ryzen 7 7840U, which has been used in many of these gaming handhelds. The AMD Radeon 780M provides the graphics, and we have seen from the others some decent results. There's a choice of 16 or 32 gigs of LPDDR5X RAM, which is 7500 megatransfers a second, but it is set to 6400 for compatibility. You can change it to 7500, but it's not guaranteed to be stable. There is a choice of 512 gigs or 2TB of M.2 2280 SSD, which you can upgrade yourself, or use the micro SD card for additional storage. For communications there is high-speed Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.2 for connecting wireless peripherals too. Inside is a 50.25 watt-hour rechargeable battery. In our tests we got 1 hour 20 minutes at 28 watts whilst running Street Fighter 6 benchmark on a loop. And we got an impressive 10 hours 26 minutes sitting idle on the desktop at 28 watts TDP. We also tested the fan noise and temperatures whilst running the benchmarks. We got a highest fan noise of 67 decibels and highest temperature of 49 degrees centigrade. AMD have finally released some usable drivers for the 7000 series, and we are using version 23.9.2 in these tests. We will be making a new video very soon which will compare all of the 7000 series handhelds together with the same drivers, so we won't directly compare them in this video. For the 3D Mark benchmarks we are running Time Spy, Night Raid and Firestrike. Overall the scores were a little lower than the other handhelds, but do keep in mind they were using older beta drivers which generally performed faster. As we will see in the game's benchmarks, there are similar performance differences across all of the tests. PC Mark tests your more day-to-day usage of a Windows device with tests for opening software, web browsing, media playing, etc. We got a score of 6,364, which works out around average compared to other handhelds. Cinebench tests the performance for single and multi-core processing. We saw very good scores for both tests. The single core score came in second place and multi-core came in first place compared with the other handhelds. For the gaming benchmarks, we're running at 800p or 720p and testing at 28, 20 and 11 watts TDP. We will update our blog post for this review with the results for the 1200p model once we have it. As always, we get some great results on Forza Horizon 5. We are using the very low graphics settings, and at 800p 28 watts TDP we get 111 frames per second, dropping to 107 at 20 watts and 62 FPS at 11 watts. We are not directly comparing with other models in this review as they are using different driver versions, but overall the scores are very good in comparison. For Shadow of the Tomb Raider, we're running at 800p on the lowest graphic settings. At 28 watts TDP we get 77 FPS, and at 20 watts TDP we strangely get 1 frame higher at 78. We retested this a few times and got the same results, and at 11 watts TDP we got 55 FPS. Overall the scores were lower than others, and we're fairly sure this is a driver issue, some kind of incompatibility rather than a performance issue. For Cyberpunk, we are using an older version of the game and not the latest, as the benchmarks were just made before the game was updated. We are on the default low graphic settings with no FSR enabled. At 28 watts TDP we get 64 frames per second, at 20 watts we get 59, and at 11 watts TDP we get 33 frames per second. Overall the scores are in line with the other 7000 series handhelds, so no weird results for this benchmark. On our Street Fighter 6 benchmarks, we are running at 28 watts TDP, 720p on the highest graphic settings to really push the handheld. Across the 3 benchmarks, we got 47, 49 and 42 frames per second. The results are a mix of higher and lower than other handhelds. It was lower on Fighting Ground and World Tour and higher on the Battle Hub. This is a good reason why we want to test on the same driver versions to get a proper comparison. Overall, the Geek One S does well in the benchmarks. As mentioned, we will have a video soon with all of these handhelds tested with the same drivers for a fair comparison. We do see some great results in the Cinebench benchmarks, which is a great indication. Though for graphics, we do see a little less in overall performance. Whilst the drivers have improved since the first official AMD drivers, they still have a bit more to go before they at least match the beta drivers' performance, which we tested on the other handhelds. Keep in mind that we are reviewing the 800p resolution model, so everything we played was at a lower resolution by design. Most handhelds support 1080p or above. Once we get the 1200p model, we will update our blog post for this review with the benchmark results. For the AYANEO Geek One S, there's little to complain about. Overall, the performance is as good as the other 7840U handhelds that we have benchmarked so far. The quality of the product does make a difference compared to, say, the lower end AOK Zoe A1 Pro. It feels more comfortable in your hand, which is important for longer gameplay sessions. These design choices, materials and extras such as Hall effect sensors and triggers do add value to a premium product. So yes, it is more expensive than A1 Pro, but in terms of performance there's not a great deal between them. It is also worth considering this model only has 800p resolution compared to 1200p on the A1 Pro. These are some things you should consider when looking for a handheld. Do you want to spend extra for comfort and some higher end components and features? Or stick to a budget with a bit less comfort and fewer features, all the while knowing that they both perform much the same as each other? We are very interested to hear your thoughts, let us know in the comments. The AYANEO Geek One S, for me at least, is a handheld definitely worth considering. All the games and emulators we tried work great with no issues, at least not due to performance of the device itself. We like the design and comfortability. ISpace still needs a bit of work though, as it's lost its way since the original release. But other than that, we really can't find fault with it. You can learn more and order your AYANEO Geek One S from us at DROIX.co.uk or DROIX.net for international shipping. Use the discount code GEEKOFF5 for 5% off. Please note that the code might expire after 1 month of this video and cannot be used whilst there is a sale or other promotion. That wraps up our AYANEO Geek One S review. We hope you have found it useful. Don't forget to subscribe to keep up to date with our videos. Thanks for watching and we will see you in the next one.